Hi, Veronica.
Hi,
Welcome to
Boy.
the interview today. Good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you, boyfriend, introducing me to your show. I'm very, very, very pleased to be here.
Yeah, so share with us about your story to become a herbal tea expert. So in Vietnam, this is the first time I heard about herbal tea expert. In Vietnam, we don't have that career yet, but so I'm very curious about your story and your expertise.
Thank you, boy. Gosh, my journey began many, many years ago. Tea wasn't something that I thought I would be doing as I am now, because my journey started with like the Ministry of Agriculture, where I worked as a secretary. And from there, I went on to work for Shell International. And 8 years of that was in the legal department. And it grew from strength to strength. I then decided to go into beauty, doing nails, manicure, pedicures, and then just thrown into a college, teaching hundreds and hundreds of people. So for me, it's been a huge journey, and I've always maintained continuing my education for myself. In terms of tea, I did have a wellbeing center jointly with my husband. We closed that back in 2017. That was based on the fact that I was bringing my parents back, and then I would become a full-time carer. So in this wonderful wellness center, which was close to St. George's Hospital, we housed tea, where we had lots of herbal teas, but we did have the true teas, such as green tea, black tea, oolong, matcha, you name it. And then next door, I had a center section for yoga, Pilates, oh my gosh, massage, colonic irrigation, and also a juice bar. So it was all one wonderful wellness center. And I used to get a lot of doctors, consultants, nurses, all staff coming in just for that moment where they could just sit, have tea and cake and enjoy.
Mm,
So yeah,
mm.
that's how I begun. And then being at home, I decided, well, I'm going to continue because I still had family and friends and past clients who still wanted tea. So I would blend those teas according to their needs. And that's where I'm at now. And that's how I've made to
Yeah.
continue.
How about when you were young, when you in your childhood, how did you expose yourself to herbal tea?
Wow, that was a journey. My parents are from Jamaica, and when they came and met in London, and they bought a huge house. My dad used to grow potatoes, carrots, sweet potato, you name it. And I used to think, why does he do all of this? Not realizing that he came a family of farmers. So when I went back to Jamaica in 2000, no, 19, well, I was 13, so I won't say how old I am then. So I was 13, and I then realized the vast acres of land and what was going on there. And my family took me out into the fields every day. They took me out with the various plants, the different types of fruits, the vegetation, and explained to me what they could be used for. So from the age of 13, I maintained that and continued that. When I came back, I was making my own. So I was growing peppermint in the garden. Um, the fruits we were making that from strawberries, fresh strawberries. We were making tea from that as well. And I've maintained that till now. In my garden now, I have
Mm,
so much growing in the garden. Mint,
mm,
strawberries, I have grapes, I have apples, I have pears. And I mean, there's 600 varieties of mint. And I
wow.
grow about four now. Yeah.
Mm,
And they come back every year because mint likes to just grow wild everywhere. But to taste fresh mint with no type of fertilizer, no pesticides is absolutely amazing.
yeah. So in your family, you have your a father who's a farmer. So that's
Hmm.
how you expose yourself as when you since you were a child to nature and to farming and to ingredients in farming. And I think that's like that's something that comes with you since you were in very young age, like the
Yeah.
same with me when I was really young. And then I have music lessons, so that's why when I grow up it still go along with me in life. So it's the same with you, nature and herbal and teas and plants, something that come along with you throughout your life. And
Definitely.
even you do other things with your job, with your career, but at the end, it's something that always come with you, right?
Yes.
So, so about the tea, herbal tea thing, how did you educate yourself on
Wow.
the impact of the what kind of tea, what kind of herbal that good for what, you know, for what issues or something, how do you educate yourself around that?
So educating myself was through it started off with workshops. I'm with a lot of the tea companies, such as the Botanical Council. Also, as I'm a volunteer, I've learned a lot as well at St George's Hospital. Now, in terms of making teas and distinguishing, because I already had that experience, I knew what types of herbs there were. So if you have, like, for herbal tea, that could be leaves, that could be roots, that can be spices, that can be nuts. It's there
Mm,
in flowers. It's just there's so much to it. Um, so for me, knowing what is what was through education, online education, workshops, groups, talking with other people, tea specialists who
mm,
there's not, I've not found a herbal tea specialist. There are herbalists out there, but they don't focus on just tea. So,
mm,
for instance, over the years where I've had family and friends who've had like the common cold before COVID arrived, they would ask me for a tea. Now, that tea could
mm,
be based on ginger, peppermint, lavender, anything that will help and boost their immune system. Now, with COVID, that stretched me. So I dug
mm,
deeper and I done a lot more research. And research is in my background. So when I worked for Shell, I also worked for supply and marketing. So I was able to learn, and I was taught by my boss the value of research. So that's how I've done it, and I've maintained that, and I've continued my education. I am looking to do other things. I'm studying Chinese tea at the moment. So
mm,
yeah, so that's another big thing because herbal teas and Chinese tea is very different. Herbs are herbs. Chinese tea comes from one plant, which is a Camellia sinensis, which is in your black tea, your green tea, your oolong, your pura, your matcha, all those teas. So it's very, very different.
mm-hmm. So in UK, do you have a lot of tea that's different from Asia?
I
Like,
wouldn't say it's different. I mean, there are a lot of teas out there on the market and in the supermarket, and you read the label and you think, this sounds nice, but you don't know, you don't understand, or it may contain something that you might have an allergy to. That is why it's really important when I'm speaking to my clients. I need to know about them. I need to know their likes, their dislikes, medication, because herbal tea is not there as a substitute for medication. It is there for your well-being. And that's why I blend the two with meditation. And it's about
mm,
high-powered women, it's about mothers, it's about students, it's about everyone from different walks of life that just need that moment to take a step back, relax, drink a tea, and just have calm in their life.
yeah. So the difference between like, because in Japan they have, tea Zen thing, and I see that they very slow and they are process of tea like that. But
Mhm.
yours is something different because you need to know about your clients or the person that you work with about their condition in order to have a plan for them on the tea that is that's suitable for their health. And also there will be a meditation or a therapy section with them in order to have them um, like have so that they can calm themselves down, and then they can have a moment with themselves.
I think you've disappeared. I think the difference, boy, when you come back, is you have Japan, who brought tea in from China, and now they have a ceremonial tea. Tea can be seen ceremonial no matter where you live, and it's about you taking that time out to probably go into your garden, sit down, have a cup of tea, Sometimes you have circular thoughts that you can't get rid of. And what's best for that? A tea. Can you hear me, Boy? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Let's do,
so
let's do.
you
So
disappeared.
yeah, so I feel like because you share about before, like some of your clients, they mothers, they entrepreneurs, and they student, like they have something going on with their life that they lost, their sense of self, or they no longer in touch with their senses, and they would and they found you in order to to have a session with tea, and also to have a moment with themselves. So normally what happened in your client's life when they come to you? Any issues that you see that's common with the people that work with you?
In terms of commonality, I find that there are a lot of people who are working really, really hard and trying to manage work and life balance, particularly mothers. We're taking children to school, getting the house sorted out, and fathers as well. I shouldn't just say mothers, which is unfair, but it's balancing that time or getting everything done, but not finding time for self-care. And self-care is
Mm,
so important, because if you're running around all the time, and you can't find that time for yourself, then what happens is called burnout.
mm,
And that is a lot of what is going on with my clients. There are, I have, however, clients who um, are in situations where it's not nice and they're really over the edge and they need to come back, and they just need a safe space and someone to speak to get them through that. And I provide that. So I will do a consultation with them, which would include the tea, and just follow up each week to find out how they're doing. Or they can just drop me a line to say, wow, this is happening. Can I have some more tea? Or can we have another talk or something like that? In terms of younger people, the stress element of studying is another feature. And sometimes they think drinking coffee or high levels of caffeine in green teas or black teas will help, and it doesn't, because it keeps you awake for that moment, and then you sort of come down. It's quite hard.
mm,
So it's about having a tea that you know that they would like. And for many young people as well, and it depends culturally where you're from. I know, particularly with the Caribbean, we were brought up on tea. We were brought up on herbal teas. So it was something that we would drink, or my parents would give us something medicinal to cleanse
mm,
us, which
yeah.
wasn't always very nice, but it done the job. So yeah, I think young people today are drinking these high-powered drinks that are keeping them awake, giving them heart
Mm,
palpitations, and that actually is not the way to go, or keeping them awake so they can study all night. So yeah, had parents who've come to me to say, I need help. My son,
mm,
my daughter needs this, we think, or they just need someone to speak to. And then we look at other methods, other ways that we can address it for them. But yeah,
mm.
so
So,
it's big. Mental health now is huge. And
mm,
you know, mental health is, it's really hard to you can't even put them in their little departments, because everyone is different. Everyone is
mm,
different. I remember years ago when I had a beauty shop, and this young man would come to the window, look in and wave. And I'd wave back, and the other staff would wave back. And about 10 minutes later, he would come back and he's like this, really angry. And it wasn't until a few months later we realized they were twins.
oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a twin, and one is happy and one
And
just
one is very
grumpy.
sad. And the story behind that was that one of the parents came in to see us, and they said, we heard that our sons are coming to your windows and to other shops as well. But we wanted to explain that they both were at university, and this work and the heavy schedule of what they were doing mentally
Mm,
affected them.
mm,
So one was very happy, but still had a mental health problem. The other was very sad and angry, and equally had a mental health problem. So it's not just, older people that might drink tea or they need it, or high-powered women or men, or, you know,
Mm.
20s, 30s. At some point in your life, you need to come down and you might need something. So that's what I do.
Mm. So talking about tea, where you see you can observe that people nowadays they use tea or coffee or something that have caffeine in that in order to make them awake and focus more on the work. And is it right that tea can be addictive?
Now, when you say tea, are you talking about the Camellia sinensis tea, which is your green tea and black tea? Or are we
Mm.
talking about herbal teas? Herbal teas,
Mm.
no. Herbal teas have no caffeine and they are not
Mm.
addictive. They are
Mm.
something that is there to enjoy in the moment according to how you feel. So if you would like a tea as a pick me up, let's have some peppermint, hot peppermint, even cold peppermint. But that just hydrates you just like water does. But then
Mm.
if you decide I would like a coffee shop, so I'm going into that meeting and I just need a fix, totally different. Because at some
Mm.
point you're going to come right down. And then you
Mm.
might need, oh, I need another one.
Mm. So that's the difference between because like nowadays if I go to the supermarket I would say okay green tea oolong and black tea, and I think maybe tea is like that, but your work is different, like you combine different ingredients like herbal and other healthy ingredients in order to help that person on something. So can you give us like an ingredient for people who have stress? What ingredient of herbal tea that normally is useful for people who have stress?
Okay, so stress related, when you're talking about stress, you're talking about anxiety, you're talking about hormone imbalance. Everything can give you stress at some point. So, for instance, one for something that's called circular thoughts. I read up on this actually. Tried to get in touch with the woman that wrote this article, and she said circular thoughts are similar to something has happened, something has impacted you, and you've been
Mm,
thinking about it, and then you find a solution, and you go to bed, and then you wake up the next morning, and it's back again. So something
mm,
is going on that you're not happy with. Something you thought you found resolution to, but you haven't. So with
mm,
circular thinking, you say, right, I need to come down a little bit. I need to manage this through possibly meditation. And a circular tea would be like passion flower, vervain, and lavender flowers, which is really,
mm,
really mild, but it also calms you. And
mm,
the whole idea to link that to the meditation is to say, right, I'm going to take all of this out of my mind and think about something really nice.
mm,
I'm going to put that problem on the shelf and I'm going to leave it because there's nothing I can do with that. And once you've got that in your mind and in your heart, it goes. Some
mm,
people find it hard because there's other stresses on top of that, which doesn't help. So for instance, young women, period problems, for instance, the hormone imbalance in that. Raspberry tea is lovely for that because that brings down anxiety. Um,
mm,
Older women that have are going through what should I say? Um, the menopause. It's a good
mm,
going through the menopause and having hot flushes. So you're always hot. At night, you're always hot. You're lying in bed, you're always hot. The covers are on, the covers are off. What kinds of teas can you drink? Again, hibiscus is good for hot flushes. Um,
mm,
but then I wouldn't just say to someone, oh, drink hibiscus tea and that's it. No, it's not. What I would say
mm,
to you, if you wear anything to bed, it should be cotton, preferably white. The sheets that you lie on be the same. So it keeps your body temperature cool as well. So
mm,
I add all of those things in, including the meditation. So it's not just tea.
mm,
It's
mhm,
finding out what that person is going through as an individual and
mhm,
finding a solution to help them.
mhm. Yeah. So, can you describe a process of working with you, how it looked like?
Oh, the process. Okay. So I would ask the client
Like for
how
example, it's me. Like for example, me.
you
Right.
want to
Like for myself,
interview.
like I have depression. For example, I have depression. Some nights I feel like really sad and unmotivated. And I don't want to do anything, and I don't know why I'm sad about it. So for a person who like have symptoms like that, what the process of working with you look like?
That's very clever, boy. That's a very good one. Um, everybody would go through something, and there is always a reason. Whether
Mm,
you want to say it right now, or you might it might come out at some other point, but you feel sad or depressed for a reason. It just doesn't materialize like that. It just doesn't. You wake up in the morning and if the weather's horrible, you look outside, you don't have a job, um,
mm,
the weather is impacting on you. So some people need the sun to make them
mm,
feel good. Yeah. Some people love the rain and enjoy sitting down watching. Now, you as an individual, I would have to take it down piece by piece to find out what is actually going on with you. Yeah.
mm,
And then I'll probably take you through a process of meditation and then ask you about how you're feeling whilst you're in that meditative state. But if you haven't got my teas during this conversation, I always ask you to prepare yourself a tea, something that you like, not a coffee, or if you prefer, you could have water. And I have to divulge and unpick what's going on with you. Everybody, there's always a reason, boy, there's always a reason why someone feels in a particular way. And it can be COVID. I've had people have come to me who have lost a mother, a father, or a relative or a friend, and it's impacted them more than they know.
mm,
And when I start unpicking, they start saying, well, I didn't get to see them. I did get to speak to them. And even at the time of the funeral, I didn't even know who was in the coffin.
mm,
There's no closure. People will
mm,
always have some kind of problem hit them. But we then, as I say, you have to unpick and find out. So you can come to me and say to me, you have anxiety, you're depressed, and all those awful things. But I have to say, but why? What's happening? What's happened to you in the last day? What's happened to you in the last month? What's different about today than it was to yesterday? And gradually you start to find out about where that person is at. So
mm,
I'm not saying I'm a trained counselor, but I've had
mhm,
experience, extensive experience of working with young people, and that's where a lot of like where I get a lot of my experience from. I worked with young
mm,
people from 14 to 18, and I've heard
mm,
horrific things at that within that age group, absolutely horrific. And you deal with it and you support them the best way that you can. And I'm telling you, it works. It really, really,
mhm,
really works. So
mhm,
testimonials with my young people have been amazing. Um, I just love working with people, all ages. So yeah.
mm.
So if
Yeah,
you've
how
got
about
a problem, you come and see me.
okay. How about your family members? Is there any person that you help with your expertise? And
Um,
and is your family member the first client that you had, or who is the first client or the first person that you experienced your method on?
the first person I would say in terms of my family and having to research and understand what he was going through is my dad. My dad has a
Mm,
condition where he became blind 6 years ago, and my dad is 91 now. So
wow.
having your sight all your life, born with your sight, and losing your sight at such an old
Yeah.
age has a huge impact. And what happened was he was in Jamaica at the time, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I received the call, and he said to me, "I'm seeing all these things. I can see again. I can see." And I'm just like, Dad, hold on, what's going on? Then he started to explain what he was seeing. He said, today, the whole room is covered in fur.
Mm.
The day before that, there were lizards all over the house, and I was trying to catch them. And I thought, this doesn't sound right. So I said, I got my mum onto the phone and I said to her, just get him some tea, some black mint, which grows in the garden in Jamaica, and try and get him settled down a little bit. And I'll call next morning. And I researched it, and it's something called Charles Bonnet syndrome. And basically, it's not only old people, but young people as well. Basically, you lose your sight, but the brain doesn't shut down.
Mm.
Brain is still telling you that you can see. So
Mm.
you have visual hallucinations.
Oh.
Yeah. So now it's there, but it's being controlled by medication, which is normally given to someone with a mental health problem, because doctors and consultants are still researching to find out why this still happens. So to control that, he's been on various medications. Some sent him totally off the wall. The one that he's on now has helped him a lot. And he still now and then has these moments of visual hallucinations. And so I would
Mm.
blend teas for him, um, and sit down and talk with him, because he didn't really want a befriender, someone from outside. He wanted the family. So I would encourage
Mm.
everyone in the family to talk with him and sit with him, drink tea, and just, go back in time and talk about what it was like in Jamaica when he was younger, to take his mind off that. We also advised him to do eye exercises, so his eyes up and down, side to side, which actually can sometimes stop it from happening. But
Mm.
he just brings people together. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, I've helped a lot of family and friends, um, for different reasons. But yeah, that one is really personal to me because I'm still living that with my dad, and sometimes I can hear him, and then I rush in. I stop work
Mm.
and I rush in to speak to him. I say, "How are you feeling?" However, if the doctor calls and goes into the room, my dad would pretend like nothing has happened.
Mm.
Totally switches off and says to the doctor, "I'm fine." And I said to him, "Well, why did you say that when you're not fine?" And he said, "I don't want them to think I'm mad."
Mm. Yeah, that's the problem with people who have, they have something, they have mental health problem, and they
Yeah,
not open to share with just anyone. They need
that's right.
like someone that they can trust in order to listen to them and understand them and don't judge them for
That's
their condition. So yeah, I think, yeah, I can feel it, because like when you go out and then you tell someone stranger, okay, I have things like this, they think you crazy. And
yeah,
but in yeah, but like only a person like maybe you work with many clients and you have already have some, I think you have natural be empathy
empathy.
person.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
why you can connect with other person emotions without judge them. And it's something that, it's something that I think is something that why you can be an expert in what you do. you know
definitely.
be- yeah, because you empathize with people and you don't, put them in category or think, okay, you have this problem, that's, and then you, this person, so you don't judge people based on their conditions, and you open to listen to all their problem, and then give them not just a solution with your listening skill, with your empathy, but also with the engaging with their health and with their well-being by using tea. So the topic today is about engaging senses used in herbal tea. So how herbal tea can engage in senses to a person.
Okay. So, in terms of your senses, I also like to use sight. So when you're going to make tea, um, you're boiling your kettle, you're watching that. It's a moment. It's a ritual. Just like when you're making matcha and the whole ceremonial thing around it. Some people just say, "Oh, gonna make a quick cup of tea and get back to work, drink my tea on the computer." No, 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 no. So what you do, you make your tea, you stir your tea, you smell your tea, you drink your tea. So your sense of smell, you're not going to drink something you don't like the smell of. And that's one of the
Mm,
things. Some people will say to me, um, I would like a tea so that I can sleep better at night. But I don't like chamomile. I don't like the smell of chamomile. I don't like the taste of chamomile. So I said, okay, so what do you like? Let's think of a garden. Let's think of nature. What kinds of things do you like? They said, oh, roses. I said, okay, anything else? And they say, lavender. So I said, right, so there's your blend. Yeah,
mm,
yeah. So that tea is going to relax you. So when you
mhm,
make it and you pour the water onto that tea, you're going to get the scent of that tea and it's inviting and you're going to want it. You sit
mm,
down in the wherever it's nice and quiet, away from the computer, somewhere where you think I just need that time for self-care, and you drink that tea and you
mm,
savor that tea. And as it goes down, you're enjoying that tea. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have the time to do that. And it's really, really important. Even if you like
mm,
writing poetry or a journal, or set time aside to do that. Make your tea, prepare your area, chill out and drink
mm,
your tea and do what you're doing because it's something that's created from your heart, something that you're enjoying. And that is what's
mm,
important. And I suppose it's like the beauty of music. Playing the piano, the calmness it brings to you when you're playing a tune, um, it's and where that takes you. It's the same with tea.
mm. It's one kind of Zen moment, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
like we. Hmm. So, how about you personally? Like, do you have any moments in your life where you have a crisis or you deal with some, stress or mental health issue, and you use your own method and your own tea in order to help you cope with that?
yes. I have a full-on life. Um, Being a full-time carer for my parents is not easy. And
Mm,
I have to make time. I found my time, and my time is in the morning. So between 6 and 7 in the mornings, everyone's asleep, apart
mm,
from my husband. He's gone to work. Um, and I go into my garden, or I
mm,
go into my lounge and I play some really soft classical music. I prepare my tea and I sit there for about half an hour and I
mm,
meditate, I drink my tea. I need that for myself every single day because my
mm,
day can be full on and I prepare myself for my day. In the afternoon, I take time out again. I've given my parents lunch, they've gone to lie down, and I'm gone. I'm out
mm,
that door really quickly into the garden, especially if it's with a cup of peppermint then as a little pick me up. And then I said, right, now I'm going to do some studying and do one of my courses. But I
mm,
prepare myself throughout the day. And then
mm,
in the evening, the same thing I'll do. I might actually have a rose tea in the evening or a chamomile, just to set the mood if I'm going to watch TV or again
mm,
listen to some music. But yeah, I have to, and that is a practice that I have to maintain. Or going for a
mm,
walk, just going for a walk, filling up a cup and taking that with me on my journey and just walking or go to the park, listen to the birds, nature, look at the different
mm,
plants because we have some beautiful parks here where people actually have been planting herbs and
mm.
flowers, and it's really nice, really, really nice.
You know what? It's a very beautiful routine. And I think like as a young person like me, if living in a big city like in Vietnam, most
Hmm.
people go to big city to have job opportunities.
Yeah.
Like in big city in Vietnam, they're very crowded, like motorcycles and pollution on the street,
Amazing.
and people live in on buildings, and there's no garden except going to the park. So
Mhm.
if a person living in that environment, I don't think they have opportunity, to do the routine like what you do. But maybe prepare themselves like maybe an atmosphere where
Mhm.
whenever when before they start their day or after a day, they have like an atmosphere with tea and with some kind of music and meditation just for themselves. So I think it's a very good routine, self-care routine to add to a person life,
Mhm.
you know. And how about, because like in Vietnam, we as a young person, I don't drink tea a lot and I don't know
Mhm.
much knowledge about tea. But my grandpa generation, I
Yeah.
remember when I was young, whenever there's a guest come to my house, my grandpa and my grandma, we serve tea. You know, it's
Mhm.
like a tradition in Asia, like, or in the north of Vietnam with like the older generation, they still use tea. But
Yes.
younger generation like me, we don't do it. We don't use tea, and I feel like we lost that Zen moment. We don't have
Yes.
that engaging. Uh, so what you want to say to young people who don't have any knowledge yet about tea and other things, how they can get started with this routine, with the self-care routine, with the tea,
I
meditation, and
think that is in a built-up area. I mean, I live in London, and but I'm fortunate to live in a house which is away from the road, so it's gated. It's no one can see me, which is good. Um, in terms of young people, even my children, I have 5 children, and every single one of them, and my grandchildren. I have 4 children. Why did I say 5? I have 4 children and 5 grandchildren, and every single one of them drink tea.
mm,
And
wow.
the idea is with young people, it's either, as you said before earlier, alcohol and drugs,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. And you need to take them away from that. And the likelihood is that they've gone to that side because of anxiety, because of problems, living conditions, you name it, a host of stuff that goes on. And this is about educating young people. So what's happening now is children are being educated in schools.
Mm-hmm.
So to grow your own food, to have an appreciation of tea again, it's all coming back slowly but
Mm-hmm.
surely. And also with the whole thing on climate change, what you actually do with tea, for instance, just the same with vegetables or when you
Mm-hmm.
cut your lawn or you cut your trees, what do you do with that? It's about composting and them having an appreciation for that as well, because we're having a huge problem with climate change. And if we don't instill this in the young people, it's just going to get worse. And I think the aim is to address climate change by 2030.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
May not happen, but if we start teaching them now, and then it's about culture, you know, it's like what
Mm-hmm.
you just said about your grandparents, you know, don't lose that part of the culture. Go back,
Mm-hmm.
grab it, embrace it, because it's so important. Because when you have your children, it's something that you might want to talk about what your grandparents did. And your children might say to you, well, I'd like to know more about that. Then you're thinking, oh gosh, what tea was it?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have to go back in time and figure that out and then teach that to your children. But I think even with millennials and Generation Z,
Mm-hmm.
young people, they are looking to more healthier beverages. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
tea is just changing. Um, quite rapidly actually, and you're getting people who sell alcohol, who make things, are putting alcohol into tea, which I don't agree with. It's not the way
Mm-hmm.
to go. Or the big thing now, or has been for quite a few years, is bubble tea. So
Mm, yeah, I drink bubble tea all the time.
yeah, I remember you drinking bubble tea, dear. I think if you look back to what your grandparents were drinking and why they drank it, and if did it have something to do with your culture, is it something that you want to maintain, you'll probably find that you would be really interested. My grandchildren are half British and half Moroccan, so their
Mm,
culture is really embedded in the Moroccan side. Their Moroccan teas, their foods, everything. They understand the culture, everything that goes with it. And I just thought to myself, well, you're going to know a little bit about Jamaica as well. So I've done the same thing. So they're carrying both, and it's working well. And They're knowledgeable. They're knowledgeable. So they know, like my grandson would say, "Oh, Nana, I've got a really bad tummy ache. Could I have some
Mm,
peppermint?" Voila.
mm,
He knew exactly what to ask for because it'll
yeah.
help his digestive system. So yeah.
Mm.
So it's
So
about
I think in the
education.
Yeah, so I think you can start doing it with your, social media channel.
Mm,
Educate people on those topics, and um, intro, introduce about the process of making herbal tea and what it helped them and other things. And then if they want to do a personal section with you, or have your help on how to have their own personalized herbal tea and therapy session or meditation session, they can reach
yeah.
out to you. I think it will be a very, good service to young people, and especially people who are currently addicted to caffeine or other substances like
Mhm.
drug or alcohol to help with their mental health issue. Because I have a friend who had that, who is addicted to drug and alcohol, and that's why, like, but he thought that it's one way to self medicate himself, but he
Yeah.
used the wrong ingredient, which is not healthy for his body. Yeah, it can help him with the mind, but it can not help him with his physical body,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, I think I have a lot of useful and helpful knowledge about you, and your sharing is very inspirational. As a
Thank
person who,
you.
yeah, as a person who grew up from, a family with like your dad a farmer, and then along with your life, you just engage yourself with nature and those knowledge about herbal tea and nature and plants. So it's something that very special about you. And one more special thing is that you have the empathy
Mhm.
and you don't judge people on their conditions and other things. So I think that's why it makes a good, you are a good expert in your field.
Thank
And
you.
for the people who want to work with Veronica, if you have some problem with like mental health issue, you're facing some very difficult time in your life right now, maybe someone that you love lost, or you have breakup, or normally stress or mental health issue, and you want to have someone to just sit down with you and talk to you and walk you through that,
Yeah.
and also have to be prepared personalized tea to help with your health and mental health. You can contact Veronica and here's her information. So thank you so much, Veronica, for your
Thank
time.
you, boy. I really enjoyed this. It's lovely.
Yeah, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day,
And
and
you too.
we'll be in touch.
Definitely. Take care.
Bye-bye. Yeah,
Thank
take
you.
care. Have a nice day.
And you too. Thank you. Bye.